So one approach that we can adapt to avoid vendor lock-in and reap some other benefits in the process is to adapt what is known as ports and adapters architecture. And you may have heard about it. It has also another name called hexagonal architecture. So the idea of this approach is to separate our application into two main components. The first one is business logic that implements the logic of our application, and it should be independent from external services, such as databases, queues, REST APIs, and so on. And the second part of our application is ports and adapters. And those ports and adapters is actually what interacts with outside services, such as databases, message queues, and so on. The way we can structure our application is the following. We will have business logic that is agnostic to technologies that we're using to interact with outside world. And every time our business logic has to interact with an outside world, it should do it through a port. Those ports can be ports to send incoming messages or receive incoming messages to our application, to write something to file storage, or to write data to a database. Now, those ports should provide interfaces that are independent from specific technologies. And to connect our application to specific third-party services, we need to implement adapters, which actually implement adapters for specific services. For example, to receive incoming requests, we can have an adapter for a Lambda. And to store files, we may have an adapter for S3, and so on. And one port may have multiple adapters. So for example, for database, we can have an adapter that connects our application to DynamoDB, and we also can have an adapter that implements in-memory database that we can use for testing. So what are the benefits of using this architecture? The main benefit is that the business logic of our application can be easily ported. And if we build our application in this way, we can move our application to serverless from other technology. And we can even move our application from serverless if we discover that serverless is not the best fit for our application. And if we do it in this way, we can even move our application from one cloud provider to another cloud provider. Maybe you want to move from AWS to Azure or other way around. And the reason why our application becomes more portable is because to move it from one technology to another, all we need to do is to re-implement those ports. So our application will not be tightly coupled to a specific provider. And while we are talking about vendor locking and serverless, it is important to note that at the moment there's an interesting effort that can improve portability of serverless applications. And this effort is to create standards for events data that our serverless functions need to process. And this effort is driven by CNCF, or Cloud Native Computing Foundation, which is the same organization. And this standard is still in development, but it is interesting to see how it will progress in the future.